The ship broke through the clouds of Velthar, and Corporal Li Taiyang pressed his face against the window. Below them sat the temple, black as night and twice as large as any mountain he had ever seen. It had been waiting here for 10 million years. Nobody had ever gotten inside. Taiyang wiped his sweaty palms on his uniform. He was just a combat engineer from Earth, assigned to fix equipment and keep the expedition safe. He had no idea why they needed him here. The real important people were the aliens who filled the rest of the ship. They were the ones who believed they had the right to enter this place. The ship landed with a soft thud. Taiyang grabbed his toolkit and followed the others down the ramp. The air outside tasted strange, like metal and old dust. The temple loomed in front of them, its walls covered in symbols that seemed to glow in the dim light. Two enormous doors stood at the entrance, sealed tight. High Priestess Velma floated ahead of the group. She was a Caltheon, made entirely of glowing blue energy shaped roughly like a person. Her voice echoed in ways that made Taeyang's teeth hurt. She believed her people were descended from the gods who built this temple. She had been planning this moment for her entire life. Behind her walked Scholar Ralvin, a tall reptilian creature with scales that changed color when he got excited. Right now they were bright orange. He carried 3 data pads and kept muttering to himself about historical records. Next to him stood Ambassador Park Nari, the other human on the expedition. She wore a perfect diplomatic smile, but Taeyang could see the tension in her shoulders. Captain Ixthor commanded the military escort. He was Caltheon like the priestess, but his energy form was sharp and red instead of soft and blue. He had made it very clear he did not trust the humans. He thought Earth had no business being part of this expedition at all. The group stopped in front of the massive doors. Up close, Taeyang could see how perfect they were. No rust, no wear, no damage despite sitting here for millions of years. The symbols carved into them seemed to move when he looked at them directly. Scholar Ralvin stepped forward and began reading the ancient text aloud. His translator device rendered it into something everyone could understand. Only those who carry the divine essence may enter. Blood of the gods shall break the seal. High Priestess Velma began her ritual immediately. She raised her glowing arms and started chanting in a language so old that even the translator could not parse it. Energy poured from her body and struck the doors. The light show was impressive. Taeyang had to shield his eyes. Nothing happened. The priestess chanted louder, pouring more of herself into the attempt. The doors did not move. After 10 minutes, she collapsed, her energy form flickering weakly. Her assistants rushed to help her stabilize. Captain Ixthor stepped forward next. "The priestess is too pure for this physical task," he announced. "I will provide what the temple requires." He produced a ceremonial blade made of energy and cut across his own essence. Blue light dripped from the wound onto the temple steps. The doors remained closed. Scholar Ralvin tried next, cutting his scaled hand and letting purple blood run down the stone. He cited ancient Thesari texts claiming his people had been blessed by the precursors. The doors ignored him completely. One by one, members of different species tried. Each believed they had some connection to the ancient gods. Each failed. The doors stayed sealed, as they had for 10 million years. Ambassador Park Nari stood to the side, watching carefully. Taeyang joined her. "Why are we even here?" he whispered. "We're humans. We've only been in space for 200 years. These people have civilizations millions of years old." Nari smiled slightly. "Politics. Earth needed a seat at this table. Even if we have no claim to divine heritage, we're observers, nothing more." Taeyang nodded. That made sense. He was just here to fix things if they broke. Scholar Ralvin decided to try scanning the doors more carefully. He set up a portable analysis device about 20 meters from the entrance. Taeyang helped him position it correctly and connect the power cells. The device hummed to life, sending invisible beams toward the temple. Everything happened very fast. The power cell overloaded. Taeyang saw the warning light flash red and shouted for everyone to move. The device exploded with a sharp crack. Metal fragments sprayed in all directions. One piece caught Taeyang across the left arm, slicing through his uniform and skin. He stumbled forward more from surprise than pain. Blood ran hot down his arm and dripped from his fingers. He reached the temple steps trying to keep his balance, and his blood fell onto the ancient stone. The temple woke up. Light burst from every symbol on the doors. The ground shook. A sound like 1,000 bells rang out across the dead planet. The massive doors groaned, and after 10 million years of silence, they began to open. Everyone froze. The doors swung inward, revealing darkness beyond. But all eyes were on Taeyang, standing there with blood running down his arm, looking just as shocked as everyone else. High Priestess Velma made a sound like breaking glass. Captain Ixthor's red energy form flared with sudden anger. Scholar Ralvin's scales went completely white, which Taeyang had learned meant total shock. Ambassador Park Nari moved first. She grabbed Taeyang's arm and pressed a medical seal over the wound. Her hands shook slightly as she worked. "Don't say anything," she whispered. Not yet, but it was too late. Captain Ixthor was already advancing on them. "Contamination," he said, his voice like thunder. "The human has corrupted the temple's systems. This is not a true opening." "The doors are open," Scholar Ralvin said quietly. His scales were starting to show hints of red now, which meant excitement or fear. Taeyang could never remember which. "After 10 million years, the doors are open. Because of human blood." High Priestess Velma pulled herself together, her energy form solidifying again. "This is impossible. Humans are barely evolved primates from a backwater world. They have no connection to the precursors. They have no divine essence. This must be a malfunction." "Then let me try again," Captain Ixthor said. He moved to the doors, which stood open about 3 meters wide now, and placed his energy against them. Nothing changed. He tried to force them wider. They would not move for him. Taeyang felt sick. Everyone was looking at him like he had done something terrible. He had just been trying to help set up the equipment. He had just bled by accident. He did not understand what was happening. Ambassador Nari stepped between Taeyang and the increasingly hostile captain. "Let's all stay calm. We need to investigate this scientifically before jumping to conclusions." "Scholar Ralvin, surely you agree?" The scholar bobbed his head, his scales now showing swirls of many colors. Yes, we must test this. If human blood truly opens precursor temples, then everything we know about galactic history is wrong." He turned to Taeyang with wide, golden eyes. "Everything." High Priestess Velma drifted closer. Despite having no real face, Taeyang could feel her staring at him. "Who are you?" she asked softly. "What are you?" Taeyang swallowed hard. "I'm just an engineer from Earth. I fix things. I don't know anything about gods or temples or divine blood. I just cut my arm by accident." "There are no accidents," the priestess said. "Not here. Not with the precursors." The temple doors stood open behind them, waiting. Inside, lights were beginning to flicker on after an eternity of darkness. The expedition had achieved its goal, but not in any way they had expected. And now everyone was looking at the human, wondering what it meant that he could open doors that had rejected gods. The expedition set up camp outside the temple as arguments raged into the night. Captain Ixthor wanted to seal the doors again and declare the whole event a system error. High Priestess Velma had retreated to her meditation chamber and would not speak to anyone. Scholar Ralvin wanted to run more tests immediately. Taeyang sat in his tent trying to stay out of the way. His arm throbbed where the medical seal covered his wound. Ambassador Nari sat across from him, her face tired in the glow of her datapad. "The Caltheon Council is already sending messages," she said quietly. "They want us to stay silent about what happened. They're offering Earth considerable trade benefits if we cooperate." "Cooperate with what?" Taeyang asked. "I just bled on some steps. You opened a door that has rejected everyone else for millions of years, including the species who believe they're descended from gods." Nari rubbed her eyes. "This is bigger than you understand. If word gets out that humans have some connection to the precursors, it changes everything. Every power structure in the galaxy is based on proximity to the ancient gods. The Caltheons have built their entire civilization on being the chosen inheritors." A sound outside the tent made them both look up. Scholar Ralvin pushed his way inside, his scales showing excited patterns of green and gold. "I need to test the other human," he said without greeting. "If this is truly about human biology and not about you specifically, then any human blood should work." "Absolutely not," Nari said firmly. "Private Choi Mina is not a lab experiment." "Please," the scholar said. "I must know the truth. You are scientists, yes? Your species values knowledge, so do mine. We must understand this." Nari looked at Taeyang, who shrugged. "It's not my decision. If Mina wants to help, she can. But nobody should force her." They found Private Choi Mina checking security equipment near the ship. She was younger than Taeyang, barely 22, with sharp eyes that never stopped moving. When they explained what Scholar Ralvin wanted, Her eyes got very wide. You want my blood to test if I can open alien temple doors? Yes, the scholar said. Mina looked at Taeyang, then at Ambassador Nari. Will it hurt? Just a small cut, the scholar promised. I have sterile equipment. Very safe. And if it works, if my blood opens things too? Nobody had a good answer for that. Mina took a breath. Okay, let's find out. They went to one of the inner temple doors, deep enough inside that Captain Ixthor's security forces were not watching. The door was smaller than the main entrance but still covered in symbols. Scholar Ralvin ran his scanner over it and nodded. Sealed, same technology. It should require the same key to open. Mina held out her hand. The scholar made a tiny cut on her finger with a medical laser. A drop of blood fell onto the door's surface. The symbols lit up. The door slid open with a whisper. Mina stared at her finger. Oh no. Oh yes, breathed Scholar Ralvin. His scales had gone almost white again. It is true. All humans carry whatever essence the temple recognizes. This is not individual. This is species-wide. We need to keep this quiet, Nari said quickly. If this gets out before we understand it, too late, a voice said behind them. They turned to find 3 Caltheon soldiers floating there, their energy forms sharp with aggression. Captain Ixthor wants to see all humans immediately. You are confined to quarters until further notice. The situation deteriorated quickly. By morning, the entire human contingent was under guard. The Caltheon soldiers were polite but firm. Nobody was allowed to leave their designated area. Nobody was allowed to communicate with the rest of the expedition. Taeyang paced in the small space they had been given. Mina sat on a supply crate, bouncing her knee nervously. Ambassador Nari stood at the entrance, arguing with the guard. This is illegal detention, Nari said. We are official representatives of Earth. You cannot simply imprison us. We are protecting the sacred site, the guard responded. The captain has declared a security situation. All personnel must comply. Nari came back inside, her jaw tight with anger. They're scared. The Caltheons built their entire religion on being the chosen ones. If humans can open precursor temples and they cannot, their whole civilization's foundation cracks. So what do they plan to do with us? Mina asked. Before Nari could answer, Scholar Ralvin appeared at the entrance. He slipped past the guard, who seemed uncertain whether to stop him. The scholar moved to the center of their space and activated a privacy field from a device on his belt. A faint shimmer surrounded them. We can speak freely for a few minutes, he said. I have discovered something you must know. I have been researching human history and comparing it to what I found in the temple's outer archives. He pulled up a holographic display. It showed human evolution, mapped out over millions of years. Your species appears in the fossil record very suddenly. About 200,000 years ago, anatomically modern humans simply appear. Before that, there are ancestors, yes, but the jump to modern humanity is extremely fast by evolutionary standards. What does that mean? Taeyang asked. It means your evolution was not natural. Or rather, it was guided. The precursors did something to your ancestors. The scholar changed the display, showing complex genetic data. I compared human DNA to every species in the database. Humans have genetic markers that match precursor samples found in archaeological sites. Small amounts carefully hidden in non-coding regions. But they are there. Mina stood up slowly. Are you saying we're part alien? Part precursor? I am saying the precursors altered your ancestors deliberately. They put something in you, and the temples recognize it. Nari crossed her arms. Why? Why would ancient gods alter primitive humans on Earth? That is what I went into the temple to discover, the scholar said. He looked nervous now, his scales showing quick flashes of many colors. I found a mural. I found recordings. The precursors were not gods. They were simply an ancient species, very advanced, and they were dying. He showed them images from the temple. The precursors looked almost human, taller, with different proportions but unmistakably similar. The recording he played showed one of them speaking in a language the translator struggled with. We are the last, the precursor said. Our sun dies. Our people fade. We have seeded many worlds with life, hoping something would grow that could remember us. But now we do more. We take the species on the world we call Haven, and we give them the key to everything we were. They will not know. They will grow naturally. But when they are ready, when they find our temples, they will inherit what we built. The hologram faded. Nobody spoke for a long moment. Haven is Earth, Scholar Ralvin said quietly. The precursors chose your ancestors to carry their legacy. They made you their children. And then they died, and the galaxy forgot, and the myths changed the story. But the temples remember. The temples know the truth. Taeyang felt dizzy. We're not special. We're just the species the precursors picked randomly. Not randomly, the scholar corrected. They chose carefully. They saw something in early humans that made them suitable. Adaptability, perhaps. Or aggression. Or simply the right genetic structure to accept their changes. Does Captain Ixthor know this? Nari asked. Not yet, but he will soon. Other researchers are exploring the temple. They will find the same information. The scholar deactivated his privacy field. You should know that the Caltheon Council is very upset. They are discussing options. Some of those options are dangerous for you. Dangerous how? Mina asked. But the look on the scholar's face told them everything they needed to know. Outside their confinement area, High Priestess Velma finally emerged from meditation. She floated to where Captain Ixthor was coordinating security. Her energy form looked dimmer than before, as if something inside her had broken. I have communed with the sacred texts and searched my faith, she said. And I have found that faith requires truth, even painful truth. The humans did not choose this. They did not ask to carry divine blood. And if we harm them for something they cannot control, we become the darkness we claim to oppose. Captain Ixthor's form flared red. The Council has given orders. The humans cannot be allowed to spread this information. Our entire civilization depends on our status as the Precursor's chosen people. If we lose that, we lose everything. Then perhaps we deserve to lose everything, the priestess said sadly. If our power is built on lies. She turned and floated toward the human quarters. The guards moved to stop her, but she passed through them like mist. She entered the space where Taeyang, Mina, and Nari waited. You are in danger, she told them simply. Captain Ixthor has been ordered to ensure no proof of human divine heritage leaves this planet. I suspect that includes ensuring none of you leave this planet. You must run. You must go deep into the temple where even our soldiers will not follow. Why are you helping us? Nari asked. The priestess dimmed even further. Because I served truth before I served power. And the truth is that you opened doors I could not. That means something, and I will not let that truth be murdered. The announcement came through every communication device in the camp at the same time. Captain Ixthor's voice was cold and formal. By order of the Caltheon High Council, this expedition is now under military lockdown. All personnel are restricted to designated areas. No ships may leave the surface. This is for the protection of the sacred site and the safety of all involved. Taeyang looked at Ambassador Nari. They both knew this was not about protection. This was about containment. The guards outside their quarters doubled. Caltheon soldiers floated in pairs at every entrance and exit. Their energy forms glowed brighter than before, ready for trouble. The message was clear, nobody was leaving. They're going to kill us, Mina said flatly. She sat on the floor, her knees pulled up to her chest. That's what this is. They can't let us tell anyone what we found. So they're going to kill us and call it an accident. We don't know that, Nari said. But her voice lacked conviction. Scholar Ralvin appeared again at the entrance. He moved past the guards who seemed confused about whether to stop him. He was not human after all, and not technically under arrest. He entered their space and looked around nervously. I do not have much time, he said. Captain Ixthor is limiting my access. But I needed to tell you what I overheard. The Caltheon Council has sent instructions. They want the temple's core systems destroyed. They want all evidence of human precursor connection erased. And they want no witnesses who might contradict the official story. Which will be what? Taeyang asked. That the temple was unstable. That ancient systems malfunctioned. That regrettably some personnel were lost in the collapse. The scholar's scales flickered with distress. They plan to blame everything on the temple itself, then seal this world permanently. Mina stood up, her hands curling into fists. So we just wait here to die? That's the plan? No, said a voice from the doorway. High Priestess Velma floated into the space. The guards moved to stop her, but she pushed through them with surprising force for an energy being. She sealed the entrance behind her with some kind of field. I have perhaps 5 minutes before Captain Ixthor overrides my authority, she said. So listen carefully. You must go deeper into the temple. There are passages the main expedition has not explored. The temple responds to your blood. It will let you go where others cannot. You must find the core chamber. Why? Nari asked. What's in the core chamber? Answers, power, perhaps a way to save yourselves. The priestess's form flickered. I have studied precursor sites my entire life. The cores always contain their most important technology. If you can reach it, you might find something to help you. Or we might find nothing and die trapped in an alien maze. Mina said. Then you die trying to save yourselves instead of waiting here for execution, the priestess replied. I know which I would choose. Scholar Ralvin pulled up a map on his datapad. I have been mapping the accessible areas. There is a passage on the east side behind a sealed door that none of us could open. But human blood should work. It leads down. Very far down. The priestess moved to the back wall of their quarters and placed her energy against it. The wall shimmered and part of it dissolved, revealing a maintenance tunnel. This connects to the temple's outer ring. Go now. I will tell the guards you attacked me and escaped. It will buy you time. You'll be punished for this, Nari said. I am already dead inside, the priestess replied. My faith was built on lies. At least this way I can do something meaningful with what remains. They did not waste time arguing. Taeyang grabbed his toolkit. Mina took a small supply pack. Nari gathered datapads with all the information they had collected. Scholar Ralvin led the way into the tunnel. Behind them, they heard the priestess calling out in alarm, making it sound like they had overpowered her. The performance was convincing. Alarms started blaring throughout the camp. The tunnel was dark and narrow. It smelled like ancient dust and strange metals. They ran through it following the scholar's map, which glowed faintly in the darkness. Behind them, they could hear shouts and the hum of Calthian soldiers searching. They reached the temple's east side and found the door the scholar had mentioned. It was smaller than the main entrance, but still covered in symbols. Taeyang pressed his cut hand against it. The wound had mostly healed, but when he squeezed, fresh blood appeared. The door opened silently. Beyond it was a passage that sloped downward. Lights flickered on as they entered, responding to their presence. The passage was wide enough for two people to walk side by side, and the wall showed murals of precursors doing things that looked almost familiar. Farming, building, teaching children. They were just people, Mina whispered, looking at the images, not gods. Just people who knew they were dying. They walked for what felt like hours. The passage spiraled down in a gentle curve, taking them deep into the planet's crust. The air stayed breathable, somehow maintained by systems that still functioned after millions of years. The temperature remained comfortable. It was as if the temple had been waiting for someone to walk these halls again. Scholar Ralvin kept checking his scanner. We are very deep now. 3 kilometers below the surface. The temple is much larger than we thought. Most of it is underground. They passed through chambers filled with equipment they did not understand. Machines that hummed softly when they approached. Screens that lit up showing text in languages that hurt to read. Taeyang found himself understanding some of the symbols without knowing how. It was like remembering something he had never learned. Is anyone else experiencing this? He asked, like you know what things are without being told? Mina nodded slowly. I looked at that panel back there and knew it was a power regulator. I've never seen anything like it before, but I just knew. Genetic memory, Scholar Ralvin said with certainty. The precursor modifications in your DNA are activating. The temple environment is triggering something dormant in you. Nari looked worried. Is that dangerous? I do not know. This has never happened before. The scholar's scales showed colors none of them had seen before. You are becoming something. Or perhaps you are becoming what you always were supposed to be. They reached a larger chamber where the passage split into 3 directions. In the center stood a statue of a precursor woman. She looked kind, with lines around her eyes that suggested she smiled often. At the base of the statue was text. Taeyang found he could read it without the translator. To those who come after, it said, we are not your gods. We were simply afraid of ending. Forgive us for the burden we placed upon you. Forgive us for making you carry us forward. We hope you will understand. Mina touched the statue gently. They were sorry. They knew this would be hard for us. Above them they heard sounds, distant but getting closer. Captain Ixthor's soldiers had entered the deep temple. They were being pursued. We need to move faster, Nari said. Scholar, which way to the core? The scholar checked his scanner. The central passage, but it shows heavy shielding ahead. Security systems. The precursors protected their most important areas. Will those systems hurt us? Taeyang asked. They should recognize your genetic markers, but I cannot be certain. They had no choice. The sounds of pursuit were getting louder. They took the central passage and ran. The passage narrowed and the walls changed. They became more organic-looking, like they were inside something alive. The lights pulsed in rhythm like a heartbeat. The air felt thicker, charged with energy. They reached a sealed barrier. It was not a door, but a wall of energy that blocked the entire passage. Symbols floated in the energy, rotating slowly. Taeyang approached it carefully. "What do I do?" he asked. "Try your blood again," the scholar suggested. Taeyang pressed his hand against the energy. It felt warm and tingly. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the energy began to pull at him, examining him somehow. He felt it reading his DNA, checking every cell. It was invasive and uncomfortable, but not painful. The barrier turned from red to green. It dissolved. Beyond it was a vast chamber, so large they could barely see the far wall. In the center floated a massive crystal, easily 20 meters tall. It pulsed with light, and around it, holographic displays showed data streaming past too fast to read. "The core," Scholar Ralvin breathed. "This is the temple's heart." They walked toward the crystal cautiously. As they got closer, the light grew brighter. Holographic figures began to appear around them. Precursors, hundreds of them, all watching. None of them moved or spoke. They just stood there observing. A larger hologram formed directly in front of Taeyang. It was the woman from the statue. She looked at him with sad, kind eyes. Then she spoke, and the words came out in perfect Korean. "Hello, child of our legacy," she said. "You have found us at last. We have been waiting so very long. The question now is what you will do with what we left behind." Behind them, the sounds of pursuit grew very close. Captain Ixthor's soldiers had found the passage. They did not have much time. Mina looked at the crystal, at the holograms, at the ancient precursor woman. "What is this place? What does the crystal do?" The hologram smiled sadly. "It contains everything we were. All our knowledge, all our memories, all our dreams. We stored ourselves here, hoping that one day our children would be ready to receive us. You can activate it. You can let us wake up inside you. You can become what we intended. And if we don't," Nari asked, "then you stay as you are, fully human, limited, mortal, but free." The choice hung in the air between them as armed soldiers entered the chamber behind them. Captain Ixthor entered the core chamber with 12 soldiers behind him. Their energy forms glowed bright red with aggression, weapons charged with a high-pitched whine that echoed through the massive space. The hologram of the precursor woman remained still, watching everything with ancient eyes. "Step away from the core," Captain Ixthor commanded. His voice boomed through the chamber. "You have contaminated a sacred site. You have violated the most holy place in the galaxy. This ends now." Taeyang raised his hand slowly, trying to look non-threatening. "We were just trying to stay alive. You locked us up. You were going to kill us." "Lies to justify your heresy," the captain said. He moved closer, his form sharp and dangerous. "The Caltheon Council has made its decision. This temple will be destroyed. All evidence of human contamination will be erased. You will be listed as casualties of an unfortunate accident. You would murder us to protect a lie?" Nari said. She stepped forward, her diplomatic training keeping her voice calm despite the situation. "The precursors chose humans to carry their legacy. That is not heresy. That is simply truth." "Truth is what we decide it is," Captain Ixthor replied. "The galaxy needs the Caltheons to be the divine inheritors. Our authority keeps peace among millions of worlds. If that authority is questioned, chaos follows. Better that 3 humans die than billions suffer from galactic war." Scholar Ralvin moved between the soldiers and the humans. His scales showed distress patterns, colors shifting rapidly. "This is not justice. This is fear. You would kill them because you are afraid of what they represent." "Move aside, Scholar," the captain ordered. "This does not concern your people." "It concerns all people," the scholar said. He did not move. While they argued, Mina had been staring at the crystal. The hologram of the precursor woman was still visible, waiting patiently. Mina could feel something pulling at her mind. Memories that were not hers. Knowledge she had never learned. It felt like waking up from a long sleep. She turned to Taeyang and whispered, "I can feel it. The crystal wants to activate. It's been waiting for us. All we have to do is touch it." "What happens if we do?" Taeyang whispered back. "We change. We become something else. Part human, part them." She looked scared. "I don't know if I want that." "I don't either," Taeyang admitted. "But I don't want to die here either." The argument between Captain Ixthor and Scholar Ralvin was getting louder. The captain was losing patience. His soldiers were spreading out, surrounding the humans. In moments, they would fire. Nari saw what was about to happen. She made a decision that she hoped was right. "Taiyang, Mina, touch the crystal." "Do it now." "But we don't know what it will do," Mina protested. "We know what their weapons will do," Nari said grimly. "Touch the crystal." Captain Ixthor saw them move. "Stop them," he shouted. The soldiers fired. Energy bolts screamed through the air. But something happened. The temple reacted. The walls themselves came alive. Defensive systems that had slept for millions of years suddenly woke up. Panels opened and weapons emerged. Ancient technology that still worked, still remembered its purpose, still protected its core. The temple fired back. The chamber exploded into chaos. Energy blasts flew in every direction. The Kaltheon soldiers scattered, trying to avoid the temple's weapons. Captain Ixthor threw up an energy shield, protecting himself from a blast that would have killed him. In the confusion, Taiyang and Mina reached the crystal. They placed their hands on its surface together. It felt warm and alive, like touching skin rather than stone. The crystal flared with light so bright everyone had to look away. Taiyang felt the knowledge hit him like a wave. Millions of years of information poured into his mind. Science, art, history, technology, philosophy. He saw the precursors as they had been. Not gods, but people. Brilliant people who had built an amazing civilization. He saw their son dying. Saw them arguing about what to do. Saw them fracture into groups, some wanting to accept death, others desperate to continue in any form. He saw them find Earth. Saw them watch early humans with interest. Saw them make the decision to alter human DNA, to plant seeds of their knowledge deep in the genetic code. He saw their hope and their fear and their desperate wish that it would work. And he saw their end. A civil war that destroyed everything. The faction that wanted to preserve themselves won, but at terrible cost. They destroyed their own civilization in the process. The survivors encoded themselves into the crystals in the temples and died, hoping that one day their children would find them. The vision ended. Taiyang collapsed to his knees, gasping. Next to him, Mina was crying. The information in their heads was enormous, too much to process all at once. But they were not transformed. They were still human, still themselves. The hologram of the precursor woman smiled. "You accessed the knowledge, but you did not accept the integration. Interesting, you want to know us, but you do not want to become us." "What's the difference?" Taiyang asked, his voice shaky. "Knowledge can be learned and used as you wish. Integration would rewrite who you are, make you into what we were. You chose knowledge. That shows wisdom." Captain Ixthor had recovered from the temple's attack. His shields held firm. He looked at the crystal with hatred. It does not matter what they learned. They still must die. And this abomination must be destroyed. He raised his weapons toward the crystal. High Priestess Velma appeared in the chamber entrance. Her energy form was dim, flickering. She looked like she had been injured. "Captain, stop this, please. I have reviewed the temple's records. The humans are not lying. The precursors did choose them. We were wrong. Our whole religion was built on a misunderstanding. Then our religion was correct in spirit, if not in fact," the captain said. "We are still the most advanced civilization. We still deserve to lead." "Deserve?" Scholar Ralvin said. He sounded angry now, which was unusual for him. "You deserve nothing. You would murder children for political convenience. You would destroy priceless history to maintain power. This is not leadership. This is tyranny." The captain turned his weapons toward the scholar. "You have chosen your side." "So be it," he fired. The scholar's shields were not strong enough. The blast hit him and he went down hard. His scales went gray and still. "No," Mina screamed. Taiyang felt rage build inside him. The knowledge from the crystal was still fresh in his mind. He knew things now. He understood technology he had never seen before, and he knew how the temple's systems worked. He reached out with his mind the way the precursors had. The temple responded. It knew him now, knew his DNA, knew his intent. The defensive systems came back online, stronger than before. Weapons deployed from every wall. Targeting systems locked onto the Kaltheon soldiers. "Everyone stop," Nari shouted. "This has gone too far. Captain, order your people to stand down. Taiyang, don't make the temple kill them." "They killed the scholar," Mina said, her voice breaking. "He was helping us and they killed him." "And if you kill them back, you prove them right," Nari said. You prove that humans are dangerous, that we cannot be trusted with precursor knowledge. Taeyang's hands shook. The temple's weapons hummed, ready to fire. He could end this. He could protect them. But Nari was right. If he killed the soldiers, he became the monster they feared. He lowered his hands. The weapons powered down. Captain Ixthor stared at him. You had us. You could have killed us all. Why did you hesitate? Because I'm not you, Taeyang said quietly. I don't want to kill people to protect lies. The captain's form flickered. For a moment he looked uncertain. Then his training and loyalty took over. It does not matter. You are still coming with us. You will be detained until the council decides what to do with you. Actually, said a new voice, they are coming with me. Everyone turned. Standing in another entrance to the chamber was someone none of them had seen before. She was tall and pale, wearing a uniform that looked Caltheon in design but with human features. Behind her were more soldiers, but these wore different insignia. I am Commander Yuki, she said in accented but clear English. I represent the Neutral Fleet, the organization that monitors precursor sites for the entire galaxy. We received a distress signal from this temple's automated systems. We came to investigate. Captain Ixthor's form flared red. This is a Caltheon operation. You have no authority here. The Precursor Protection Treaty gives us authority over all ancient sites. Commander Yuki replied calmly. This temple is protected by galactic law. Any attempt to destroy it or harm researchers within it is a war crime. Stand down, Captain. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Captain Ixthor's soldiers began powering down their weapons. The captain himself hesitated, then finally dimmed his aggressive red color to a more neutral orange. The council will hear of this, he said. I am certain they will, Commander Yuki replied. She looked at the humans. Are you all right? The scholar, Mina said, pointing to where Ralvin had fallen. They shot him. Commander Yuki's soldiers rushed to the scholar. One of them checked him with medical equipment and looked relieved. He lives. Badly hurt, but he will recover. Taeyang felt something release in his chest. The scholar was alive. They had not lost him. The precursor hologram watched all of this with interest. So many different people, she said, all fighting over what we left behind. We never intended this. We only wanted to continue in some small way. Commander Yuki looked at the hologram with wonder. You are a precursor AI? I'm a memory, the hologram replied. A recording of someone who lived and died long ago. I can answer questions if you have them. I have many, Commander Yuki said. But first, we need to secure this site and get everyone medical attention. She looked at Captain Ixthor. You and your soldiers will remain here under guard. The Neutral Fleet will conduct a full investigation of what happened. The captain said nothing, but his fury was obvious in the sharp edges of his energy form. 3 days passed. The Neutral Fleet brought medical teams, archaeologists, and diplomats. Scholar Ralvin recovered in a medical bay, his scales slowly regaining color. Captain Ixthor and his soldiers were confined to their ship, awaiting judgment from the galactic courts. High Priestess Velma spent long hours in meditation, trying to rebuild a faith that had been shattered. Taeyang sat in the core chamber, talking to the precursor hologram. She had been answering his questions patiently, explaining things that the crystal's knowledge download had not made clear. So you did not just change humans, he said. You changed lots of species. The hologram nodded. We seeded over 40 different worlds with genetic modifications. Each species received different gifts, different keys to our technology. We hoped that diversity would lead to strength, that many different approaches might succeed where one would fail. But only humans can open the temples? Not quite, she said. Humans have the genetic sequence that opens this type of temple. Other species can open other precursor sites. We scattered our legacy across the galaxy, piece by piece. No single species was meant to inherit everything. You were meant to work together. Taeyang thought about that. The Caltheons do not know this. The Caltheons forgot. Over millions of years, the truth became myth, and myth became religion. They convinced themselves they were special, chosen. They forgot they were just one branch of a much larger family. Ambassador Nari entered the chamber. She looked tired but pleased. Commander Yuki wants to speak with us, all of us. They gathered in a meeting room that the Neutral Fleet had set up in the temple's outer chambers. Commander Yuki sat at the head of a table, with Scholar Ralvin beside her. The scholar looked weak but alert. His scales showed pleased patterns of soft blue. Mina and Taeyang sat together. High Priestess Velma floated near the door as if ready to leave at any moment. Commander Yuki activated a display. I have finished reviewing all the data from the temple's systems. What I found is remarkable and disturbing. The precursor records show that over 40 species currently in the galaxy carry their genetic modifications. Humans are one. Caltheons are another. So are the Thasari, the Velkin, the Morith, and dozens more. We are all their children, the priestess said softly. In a sense, Commander Yuki confirmed. The precursors did not create you, but they altered you, guided your evolution, gave you tools to one day access their technology. They wanted their knowledge to survive, but they also wanted diversity. They did not want one superspecies. They wanted many different peoples, each with unique strengths. Why did humans open this temple and not the others? Mina asked. Scholar Ralvin spoke up, his voice raspy but eager. Genetic lottery. The precursors gave each species different markers. Humans happened to develop the right combination first, perhaps because Earth's environment was harsh and required rapid adaptation, perhaps simple chance. But it does not mean humans are superior. It means humans are ready. Other species will be ready at different times. Taeyang felt relief wash over him. He was not special. Humans were not gods. They had just been first to the door, Commander Yuki continued. The problem is what to do with this information. If we announce it publicly, every species will react differently. Some will accept it, some will reject it, some will fight over who is more legitimate. The Caltheon Council has already threatened war if we make this knowledge public. So we lie, Nari said. We pretend this never happened? No, said a new voice. Everyone turned. Taeyang stood up from his chair. He had been thinking about this for 3 days, ever since he touched the crystal. He had all that precursor knowledge in his head now. He understood so much more than he had before. We tell everyone everything, he said. We broadcast all of it. Every piece of information in the temple. Every genetic record. Every technology. Every piece of history. We give it to everyone, not just humans. We make it free. That is insane, the priestess said. You would give away your divine inheritance? It was never ours to keep, Taeyang replied. The precursors did not want one species to rule. They wanted everyone to grow. So we help everyone grow. We share everything. The technology alone could revolutionize every civilization, Commander Yuki said slowly. It would change the entire balance of galactic power. Wars could start. Chaos could follow. Chaos is already here, Scholar Ralvin said. He looked stronger now, sitting up straighter. The Caltheons were willing to kill to protect their lies. Other species will do the same. But if everyone has access to the knowledge, no one can claim special authority. The playing field becomes level. And if species fight over the technology? Mina asked. If they use it to build weapons? They will, Taeyang said honestly. Some will. But some will also use it to heal disease, to explore space, to solve problems we cannot imagine yet. We cannot control what people do with knowledge. We can only choose whether to share it or hoard it. Nari looked at him with pride. That is very wise for someone who was just a combat engineer a week ago. I learned from the precursors, Taeyang said. They tried to control their legacy. They tried to engineer the perfect inheritors, and it destroyed them. They spent their last days fighting over how to preserve themselves. I think they would tell us not to make the same mistake. The precursor hologram appeared in the room, as if summoned by his words. She smiled at Taeyang. Yes, that is exactly what we would tell you. We were fools to think we could control what came after us. Share the knowledge, let go. Trust that those who come after will be better than those who came before. High Priestess Velma made a sound like wind through broken crystal. My entire life has been service to a lie. If we share this knowledge, the Caltheon faith will collapse. My people will lose their purpose. Then they will find a new purpose, Scholar Ralvin said gently. Truth is painful but necessary. Better a painful truth than a comfortable lie. Commander Yuki looked around the table. If we do this, there is no going back. The galaxy will never be the same. Are you all certain this is what you want? Taeyang thought about his life before the temple. Simple. Quiet. Fixing equipment on Earth. He would never have that life again. None of them would. They had seen too much, learned too much, but hiding the truth would be worse. I am certain, he said. So am I, Mina added. And I, said Scholar Ralvin. Ambassador Nari nodded. Earth agrees. Share the knowledge. High Priestess Velma was quiet for a long moment. Then slowly she nodded. The truth will set us free. Even if it destroys us first. Commander Yuki made the arrangements. The temple's entire database was copied and prepared for broadcast. Every piece of precursor knowledge, every genetic record, every piece of technology and history, it was enormous, containing millions of years of accumulated wisdom. They set up a transmission array using both the temple's systems and the neutral fleet's equipment. The broadcast would reach every inhabited system in the galaxy simultaneously. No one could block it or stop it. Taeyang stood at the controls. Commander Yuki had asked him to be the one to activate it, since his blood had opened the doors in the first place. His finger hovered over the button. "Last chance to change your mind," Nari said. "I know," Taeyang replied. He pressed the button. The transmission began. Across the galaxy, data started arriving at every communication hub, every research station, every ship and colony. The precursor legacy, shared freely with everyone. Some would use it wisely, some would not. But everyone would have the chance. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy changed rapidly. The Caltheon Council collapsed as their religious authority evaporated. New governments formed. Research teams from hundreds of species began collaborating on precursor technology. Some conflicts did start, as Commander Yuki had warned, but most species were too excited by the possibilities to fight. Scholar Ralvin made a full recovery and became famous as the one who first discovered the truth. He spent his time traveling to different precursor sites, teaching species how to access their own genetic keys. High Priestess Velma left the Caltheon Order and formed a new faith, based not on being chosen, but on being part of a vast family. She taught that the precursor's real gift was not technology, but the reminder that everyone was connected. Mina returned to Earth briefly, but found it too quiet after everything she had experienced. She joined the neutral fleet and became an explorer, searching for more precursor sites. Ambassador Nari became Earth's primary representative to the newly formed Council of Legacy Species, the organization that helped manage the flood of new knowledge. Taeyang went back to being an engineer, but now he worked on projects using precursor technology, helping to build things that would have been impossible just months before. He never sought fame or power. He just wanted to fix things and make them better. 6 months after the broadcast, Taeyang returned to the temple on Velthar. It was a galactic heritage site now, open to all. Pilgrims from every species came to walk the halls and see where everything changed. He stood at the main entrance, looking at the massive doors that had opened for his blood. They stayed open now, propped wide so anyone could enter. That felt right to him. The precursor hologram appeared beside him. She looked peaceful. "Do you regret it?" she asked. "Sharing everything?" "Every day," Taeyang admitted. "I see the chaos it caused. I see the fights and the problems. But I also see the good. I see species working together. I see sick people being cured. I see ships exploring further than anyone thought possible. So no, I do not regret it." "Good," she said. "We were so afraid of dying that we forgot how to live. You remembered. You chose to share rather than control. That makes you wiser than we ever were." "I just did what felt right," Taeyang said. "That is all anyone can do." A group of young aliens came running past, excited to explore the temple. They were a mix of different species, all laughing together. They did not care about who was chosen or who was divine. They just wanted to learn and discover. Taeyang watched them go and smiled. This was what the precursors had really wanted, even if they had not known it themselves. Not one perfect inheritor, not one chosen species, just everyone moving forward together, learning from the past but not imprisoned by it. The temple required divine blood. The human bled and the doors opened. But the real miracle was not that the doors opened. It was that they stayed open. And that was enough.